Greetings, salutations, hello! Today we're going to talk about dreadlocks and neck pain. A major cause for concern among many dreadheads and potential dreadheads is the worry that the weight of the dreadlocks will be so great that it leads to discomfort or pain. I mean, look at these thick, bulky things anchoring down my head. Surely I'm in some reasonable degree of discomfort. In reality, dreadlocks don't actually weigh as much as they might look like they weigh. And so fortunately, I don't actually need to wear this. Dreadlocks and Velcro, never a good idea. Simply put, dreadlocks are made from hair, that's it. There's just hair here. That's all there is, hair. Knotted up, matted up into ropes, but at the end of the day, it's still just hair. And so the dreadlocks only weigh as much as this amount of hair does. It's a little bit more complicated, which we'll come to in a second, but basically this means that if you start dreadlocks with, for example, chest-length hair, the dreadlocks that you form from that length of hair will weigh exactly the same as the hair did before it was made into dreadlocks. That's it. Simple. This means that if that length of hair wasn't so heavy that it caused you discomfort, then the dreadlocks won't cause you discomfort either, because they weigh the same. Over the very short term, if you've just started brand new dreadlocks, your scalp may be a little bit sore depending on what method you've used, and so that may feel like they weigh a bit more, but it's just exactly the same as the hair that you started them from weighed. So it's a little bit more complicated in that chest-length dreadlocks won't weigh as much as chest-length hair, because when you start dreadlocks they will generally shrink up as they tighten, and that can mean that maybe shoulder-length dreadlocks will weigh as much as chest-length hair, but for the actual individual, the person, the hair is weighed the same throughout. Now, dreadlocks also gain weight at the same rate that regular hair would, because your hair is growing at the same rate, so you're adding new length of hair at the same rate as you would if you were growing it normally. So if you've grown your own hair before, which, you know, if you've got dreadlocks you have, then you will know that the weight change is so slow and so gradual that you don't even notice it. Now obviously there are extremes. If you grow your dreadlocks long enough, if you grow them down to your knees, down to your ankles, then all that hair will add up and you will start to notice it. Even if it is growing gradually, I mean, you'll probably notice that it becomes less and less practical, as well as getting heavier and heavier. But for most people in most situations, the hair will weigh the same from the start. It'll gain weight so slowly that you don't even notice it, and you adjust and your neck muscles strengthen at the same time. Now, there are times when you are going to notice the weight in the dreadlocks, and the time you're going to notice it is when there are sudden increases in weight. So when your dreadlocks are growing at the rate of hair growth, the changes in weight are so slow, so gradual that it's non-existent pretty much. You don't notice it. But when there are sudden changes in weight, then you notice it, and then it can potentially become a problem. So for example, if you're gonna add extensions to your dreadlocks, either when you first start out or at any point along the line, then that is immediately adding extra weight, and you will notice that because it's added on, it's new, it's instantaneous change in weight. That might lead to you noticing a change. If you add heavy decorations or something, that will also lead to a noticeable change. But the main thing that most people will notice is the change in weight once you wash the dreadlocks. Dreadlocks can act sort of like sponges when you wash them. That means when you get in the shower, they're not just going to let all the water flow over them. They are going to soak up water kind of like a sponge, and when you wash them, you have to soak the soapy water in, rinse it out, soak it in, rinse it out. And during the washing process, you can find that they weigh considerably more than they did when they were dry. Their wet weight can be a lot more than their dry weight. And this is an instantaneous change in that outside the shower, they weigh a normal amount that you're used to. You get in the shower, suddenly they can weigh a whole lot more. So during the washing process, they can really hang, they can really be quite heavy. And then throughout the drying process, it takes a long time for them to go from wet to damp to completely dry. And throughout that whole drying process, they will be hanging heavier. And if you're then having a towel on your head, if you've wrapped them up in a towel, then you have also the weight of the damp towel. And it's mainly during the washing and drying times that the weight of the dreadlocks will become apparent and discomfort can sort of rear its head. The longer and thicker the dreadlocks, the more water they'll be able to soak up when you wash them, therefore the heavier they will get during and after their wash. And also the longer and thicker they are, the longer they will take to dry, and so the longer they will remain potentially uncomfortable. This is just one of the reasons that dreadheads try to find the fastest and most efficient way to dry the dreadlocks. I mean, for one, so that you can basically have them dry and get on with your day, and for two, so that you can not have them hanging heavy on your head and on your neck. I think it's quite important that when you are drying your dreadlocks that you are aware that they are going to be weighing more, and so you be careful that you're not sort of sitting in uncomfortable positions where they're pulling. If dreadlocks do over time become too heavy or impractical due to their length and weight, they can be trimmed. Over the years, I've trimmed my dreadlocks a few times for various reasons, and it's not a big deal to remove length if and when it's required. And when you do remove the length, you can really notice a change in weight. Whenever I've trimmed my dreadlocks, my head has felt like it's been weightless for a few days after, and that's just from removing a few inches of hair from each dreadlock. While I had the dreadlocks their full length, was perfectly fine with it, didn't notice it, I was used to it, but when I trimmed it off, suddenly that weight is removed and you notice the change because it's instantaneous. I think provided that you are careful with the dreadlocks while they're damp, making sure that you're not doing too much to have them pulling in awkward positions and awkward ways, and as long as you're also sort of reasonably active so that you have some sort of muscles in your shoulders and neck, then you're not really going to have a big problem with weight most of the time, within reason, sort of, as long as you're not at extreme length and extreme thicknesses, etc. So that is dreadlocks and neck pain. If you have any questions, comments or queries, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below and I will get back to you. If you like this video, if you found it helpful, useful, informative or entertaining, you can click the like button and know that you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more videos from myself in the future, you can of course subscribe, and as always, all my content is available at all times on laserdreads.com. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you again next time. Farewell!